Welcome back to another episode of Hardcore Fiction. And today we're still talking about horror movies. Boring. To you? Sure. But to us, well, we love it. Everything but, I guess, gore on Ellie's part. I like gore. I enjoy it. But she's not really a big fan of it.
No. Makes me feel icky.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because, like, the difference between slasher horror and actual horror. Because to me, that's not scary. That's disgusting. Like torture porn, like
torture porn. Yeah. You're talking.
Saw franchise.
You mean like I was gonna say. You mean like the Saw franchise?
Yeah, and so when you go on any streaming service or your video store section, you go to the horror section. You immediately have to go. Not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. And, like, what do you look for in that? Because you said you don't mind gore. I don't mind it
if it's depends on the tone. Like, if you're going for, like, the slight bit of, like, comedy, then I expect there to be an immense amount of gore. Because it just makes it funny. Like, what was it, The Babysitter? The one that was on Netflix?
Oh, yeah.
Babysitter 1 and 2. Those ones were great because you do get like the big whole like blood in the face, and they show like somebody like getting like their like ankle broken and stuff like that. Like because they're using it in like the comedic sense, and I think when it's in comedy, it's more I can understand it more, I can digest it more as opposed to like taking it in. If it's like a serious movie and you're trying to throw that much blood around, it's like
that makes my stomach feel yucky.
It just seems unnecessary.
It's a lot of stabbing. When the stabbing happens, it makes me feel nauseous sometimes. Like, I think I was okay with it until watching Saving Private Ryan and that part where he's like, wait, because you don't want to die. Why are you laughing? You're a monster!
I'm sorry, because I don't know, there was a Robot Chicken. It just reminds me of a sketch I saw on Robot Chicken that was like that. It just makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
Robot Chicken, I have to watch him sparingly.
Not that he would ever in his millions of years of living probably. Seth Green would ever watch this. I love Robot Chicken. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah, if you can send him a Robot Chicken, he would love that.
Yep. Even if he just had me getting like beaten to death by like a donkey and Hulk Hogan, like I'd be okay with it. Like, look, that's me.
I bet if we made you a puppet and then sent it in, they would use it for that.
That would be cool. 3D print my face.
I don't think I would enjoy that.
But you got notes here though, and you wanted to go over some stuff, some things. Do that while I begin my journey here. And, oh God, okay.
Yeah, a little goober on your head.
Oh yeah.
Because we touched briefly on the tropes of horror movies. I watched a series, I talked about it briefly, it's called A Haunting. It ran from 2005 to 2019. It was on Discovery, I believe, initially. Instantly drowned. And it's just a collection of supposedly real events all over America.
Is that the one you don't... I thought you had, like, a DVD collection.
Yeah, I own it on DVD, and it was one of those things where you find in the store, and you don't usually see stuff like that in the store. So, like when I grabbed Orphan Black, I'm like, hell yes!
Right.
And I just kind of hugged it to myself and paid whatever was necessary for me to keep it. But for that, a lot of the similarities seem to be husband was on third shift. Or he was a truck driver. I put on here that husband's a truck driver and mom does basically nothing. Or, like, she takes care of, like, kids. And... Because a lot of it is walking around the house. That trope of, I hear something, but I'm going to walk really slowly.
Oh yeah,
thing.
My favorite that they do in almost every single horror movie ever, where they Lauren, she just screamed her bloody murder.
Yeah, that's not how actual humans react. Yeah. I've seen parents everywhere, like a scream happens and you like throw your beer or whatever's in your hand on the floor and you go to see what's wrong. And if nothing is wrong and then they end up giggling, then you beat them. It's just kind of that's what happens.
Beat your kids if there's not nothing wrong with them. Give them something to scream about.
Screaming is for emergencies. Well, I don't know if
screaming for when this happens to you. Hadouken!
Yeah.
Oh man, no, I
also can you add like a rainbow graphic of like, please beat your kids on there?
Beat your kids. Do something nice. Beat your kids.
Sometimes.
Just sometimes, not all the time.
That's a separate video. And there's always the trope as well of the nurse. Like she's a nurse, so she comes home on odd hours if they are alone.
Right.
It always seems to be when the woman is at home alone. There's a lot of those stories. There's not a lot of guys.
What's your favorite trope? If you had one that you do see, like in the little bit on the back of your mind, every time you see it happen, you're always like, that's haha. Like you always kind of like, you're not like upset about it, I should say. Like, what's the one that you see and you're like, there it is.
I'm not upset about? They kind of all upset me. Oh man.
The door. The door is my favorite. The door opening a little bit.
The poking.
The little bit of the door opening. I don't know why. I just always, I don't know. Even though it's like, it's so easily faked. It's so easily done in the movie, whatever. But I love the door slightly opening because it just, I don't know. It's because it happens so common in the house. It is a common thing. It is.
Yeah.
Like you put a door a little bit and it kind of like, there's a breeze or whatever. And that's the easy talk away of it. But it always is that little bit in the head of like, well, what if it isn't?
Yeah.
I do like the door
I guess that's a good one.
The cabinets, which is basically the same thing, I don't like. Because it's like, why cabinets? do ghosts and spirits look at doors and go, fuck yeah. I'm going to open the shit out of these doors.
Maybe it's practicing, like interacting with objects.
Like on Ghost, like he's doing the shoe thing.
But it's like, if I can open and shut this cabinet, then I can slap you silly. Like, is that the next step?
This is you, Brenda!
Yeah. Throw your mug right on the floor. That's your favorite mug? I know it.
Boss bitch my ass. Just throw it.
In one of the Insidious movies, they did it. And, in that M. Night Shyamalan, the see dead people thing, I can't remember the name of it for some reason. God damn it!
The Sixth Sense?
Yeah. Where suddenly
so
the ghost or what have you is right there and they scream something.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause then they can't put in that noise that they always do. That is the worst ever. 'Cause I much prefer something normal is happening in the foreground and there's just a dude bro in the kitchen or something. You see the shadow and like you have to look for it and then maybe that shadow just comes closer and closer. That's 10 times more scary than half the things that they run. The other trope that I know you hate is they can't move because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Which we talked about on Insidious. They moved and that was awesome.
I like that.
Because I do think that you're more likely to be haunted as a person versus wherever house you're at. Unless you live down south, because there's probably an inch of soldier blood everywhere down there. So if you're going to see a spookums, it's going to be like, oh, this was your farmhouse? We need it for a hospital. Wait, what?
Now there's angry spirits here. Like
these curtains are being torn for aesthetic. We're gonna cut this guy's leg off right in your living room. Is this cool? Yeah, that energy, it's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah.
Or that can't be created or destroyed or something. I'm not a scientist.
I don't know how that works because it always changes in movies too. How like this is the. Like, they can always explain it, but then they can't explain it. It's always annoying. Spirits, move on. There's always that one specialist, is what I'm trying to say. There's always like that. They always find a person in town that is a specialist in all the spiritual stuff. That one's always annoying, too.
Yeah, and it's always a Mexican old woman or a black person that does voodoo.
Yeah.
Because if you're black, you do voodoo, I guess.
Or it's padre.
Well, that one guy that does not age.
The one guy who's been old for like a million years now.
I don't even know how to look him up because he's been in every movie.
Yeah.
He's just a priest.
Yeah, the voodoo thing is annoying too. I don't like seeing that either. So I was like, there's just like not everybody does that. Who's from down there, man?
I wanted to pick your brain on It Follows a little bit because I was perusing IMDb on what people think horror movies are, and that's the one everyone seems to like fangirl about.
It Follows, because that's supposed to be like it's supposed to be freaking.
It's a ghost STD.
Yeah. But I thought it was supposed to be like a metaphor or something like that. Somebody told me like it's a metaphor for something for STDs and how it's plaguing the youth. I'm like,
we vaguely touched on metaphors
weird,
in English class, and it's like not everything has to be a metaphor. And I remember being frustrated because I had to create something that also had a giant meaning to it. It's like, well, no, maybe it's just a story that happens in sequence. Does it have to be like a big, meaningful, big twist, we should all hug and love each other story? Because, like, I don't know, I'm not big in metaphors. I like being straightforward.
I think, that's going to, like, all, like, going over all that, like, all the basic shit and the metaphors and the same crap that all the horror movies do. And someone that did it right was Evil. The show Evil. Like, that was... Like, I can't think of a single episode of that show that was not great. Like, that didn't want me to sit there and just keep watching all of it.
Also, beautiful Luke Cage.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to see a handsome man, no matter what flavor person you are, if you say he's not handsome, you're lying.
Yeah. Look, I'm straight, and I know that guy's good looking. So there's no wrong about it.
And he wears comfy looking sweaters, so you just want to...
Right, you're right.
Just want to cuddle up.
Well, that show is great because they do both sides. That's what I loved about that show, as far because it hits the horror thing and it does the whole supernatural bit, whatever. But I love that it hit both sides. Like, it shows
because one guy's a priest, and he goes through on a strictly like, is this a demon or not? And then the girl is a trained psychiatrist.
Yeah, she's a
psychiatrist. So she's looking at it as science and.
Logic.
Like disorders, and sometimes they meet in the middle, and sometimes they butt heads because it's an either-or scenario.
Right.
Like dealing with the controversial, is this girl possessed, or does she need to go to the hospital?
Right. Does she have a brain condition? Like,
yeah,
there's something going on upstairs that needs to be fixed.
I see the image of the girl in my head, but there was a story that a young girl... thought she was possessed and she starved to death. I don't know if you remember hearing about that.
I remember vaguely hearing about it.
Yeah, because I didn't capture a lot of the details because it's horrific and I don't really want to remember that offhand.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure.
But it's like you couldn't like feed her soup or something? Like she was refusing food to the point that when she looked like the way she looked, they should have took her to the hospital, and it's like a big old controversial thing. Like, did her family then murder her? So that show Evil like touched on that and that discussion there.
Yeah.
You fell in a hole.
I did. And I honestly, at some point, I just kind of had it here and just kind of had it on, and I was just kind of sitting there.
These little cute little
well, it's like no matter where you stop in the game, no matter where you get stopped in the game, it's a screenshot, so you can kind of just chill here. At some point, I'm just gonna like leave this on in the background. At some point, we're just gonna it's how it always ends up going anyway. So.
What's he looking at? You think?
I don't know. He's kind of looking around. I wish I could just get him just doing this.
Oh, yeah. We talked about the screaming, I guess, a little bit. Of the slow walking infuriates me.
Yeah, that's the worst one, I think.
And It Follows the person slowly walking towards them, and they kind of run away, but it's like, just get in a car. I don't know. It's like, there's an old naked guy on a roof. It's like, yeah, okay.
Hell yeah, old naked guy. Enough for me to go
Like,
around.
I liked the initial, like, homage to 80s movies and the opening sequence where one girl's running in high heels and no one knows why she's freaking out. Like, I liked that particular scene, and it's not terrible. It just, there's movies on here that I can watch over and over. My favorite one being The Haunting from 1963, not the Liam Neeson version.
I like the one that you're talking about. That was really good.
With Julie Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been remade a few times because the story is good. Like, to me, that's what I want from a haunted house movie. It's like the house seems to think for itself, and it's kind of a slow paced at first, and there was a lot of practical effects. Like, as far as I know, it's the first one that did the stretchy door, where they had just a bunch of people, prop guys, like, pushing the door, and you could hear the creaking, and it sounded like it was breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you can have a shot on wallpaper and just run some audio on it and be the most scared you've ever been.
Right.
And I remember watching that
Old
as a kid
magic.
With, like, a blanket over my head, going, like, oh, this is amazing.
It's the classic
that one
magic.
will forever be number one for me.
Yeah.
I really liked the Ritual.
Ritual was great.
Yeah, it was 2017. I think it might still be on Netflix. It's got that Rafe Spall guy from Hot Fuzz.
Mm-hmm.
He played Cartwright, and he was in Harry Price Ghost Hunter, which I watched what felt like a PBS special. But it's just like his kid dies, so he's dealing with if ghosts are real or not, and he ends up kind of getting lazy and scamming people. And then he kind of gets snapped out of it and remembers why he was doing it and ends up doing a help. And that was one movie, and it felt like it could be a series, like how Sherlock is like an hour an episode. It's like, well, there's no more of this? I think it's Harry Price is a book series.
I'd like to see more things like that, like just in small doses, like that, like how Sherlock did. I'd like to see more things.
The Ritual, I think, was a good form of, like, a good balance of gore, because the monster was the most unique thing I've ever seen.
That looked like something out of, like, a Magic the Gathering, like, card or something. It looked insane. That thing was crazy.
Like, the tone was crazy, the setting was crazy. You liked the characters enough, you were interested in it, and the fact that it seems to use the bad things you've done against you, and how it kept replaying his one mistake. I mean, I'm sure he made more than one mistake.
Right,
but the fact that he's in the woods,
most heavy on him.
He's in the woods, and he turns around, and he's in that freaking same store. If you haven't watched The Ritual,
spoilers ahead.
Go watch it. Because it seems like it's once in a lifetime kind of movies. Like, once every 5 years you get a good one. And I don't understand why it's so hard. I guess this is what the whole podcast is, like... Yeah,
it's just us basically.
Like, A Haunting, like, The Ritual. I like The Haunting in Connecticut.
That was good. I like that one a lot.
It's one of the first movies that I dreamt about. The etching of the letters. There's a sequence where it goes on the walls, and I had dreams for like 3 nights in a row where there was lettering on the walls. When I watch it now, it's like the kids in chemo, so they get a temporary house to be faster than going to the hospital. Like, instead of driving halfway across country to the certain hospital for him to get treatments, and he's so close to death that he can see things, and they end up being an old mortuary, and hijinks ensues.
The guy was like basically like a alchemist, wasn't he? He was like some kind of dark magic he was using to try to like resurrect the dead or something. I can't really quite remember, because I remember it was really late when we watched it, and I was like made myself stay awake to finish watching that movie. This was crazy. As
far as I understand, because I've seen it quite a few times, is it was in the prime time era of like I think the three sisters, like everyone wanted to go to a seance. It was like the posh thing to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he needed the money or something, but it's like binding the spirits there made the seances more impressive. Like with the ectoplasm and stuff, which is the first time I've seen the ectoplasm. And there are pictures, if you look them up.
Yeah, those are like legit pictures.
Like legit pictures. And there's a way you can fake it with like stockings and stuff. Which especially when cameras were worse.
Yeah, back in the day.
It was probably easier to do that. But like
stay still, Gladys.
Just thinking about what you would do if you just went to have like a silly haha fun time. Ooh, we're gonna have a seance at a mortuary, and then the kid starts like puking up black.
Right.
Like, oh my god, that would be the scariest thing ever.
And I'm leaving.
So he went to control the spirits, and then there was too many, and they went to fight him, and but they were still trapped after the guys were dead. So, the boy initially was trying to hold them back, I think, and trying to keep them from hurting people. You have a lot of cat fuzz on your face. Fucking cat!
Not my fluffy boy!
But I guess it's because they don't have the trope of they have to move. They already did. They moved because they need the hospital or their kid's gonna die. And they don't want to constantly be driving back and forth when you're exhausted because from chemo or spending money on a hotel, it's just cheaper to bring the family closer to the hospital where he needs to be.
A lot of the movie, I thought, hit hard because of the lead actress.
Yeah.
Virginia Madsen.
Yeah.
She's
the bomb.
She's the one, she's the same girl she was the same lead in Candyman.
Oh.
She was in Candyman.
Oh, okay.
And now...
'cause that's the first thing I saw her in was The Haunting in Connecticut.
The first thing I ever seen her in was Candyman, and I didn't realize it was her. And I always remembered her because of that noir shot that they have in Candyman, where
her eyes.
She's smoking a cigarette, and the guy's telling her the story, and they put like the light going just across her blue eyes, and her cigarette smoke is going up, and it's an awesome shot. It's like my favorite shot of the whole movie. But yeah, she was in there, and she was also in The Swamp Thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which needs another season.
Yeah.
Because I liked where they were going with that show. They gave it like that same, like how we're talking about, like that weird, like supernatural feeling to the show, and that had a whole different tone than usual comic book stuff that's been coming out. I liked that. I thought
because
really
I know
good.
We're talking monsters and ghosts and stuff, and not everyone believes in ghosts, but you can only suspend your belief for a certain period of time. Like if there's not a little bit of realism, you might as well be like in space. Why should I care about these characters? You can't be too pulled out. You gotta make sure your audience understands. So in that case, my next point is the dialogue between couples in these movies drive me insane.
You love it.
We watched Apparition on HBO Max.
God, that was
It's
awful.
got some people we like in it. Mostly watched it for the Winter Soldier and his beautiful hair. And I'm like, oh, look at him.
Stein.
Yeah. I was like, you could have just had him in the movie. I would have liked it much more. But, like...
They had old Draco Malfoy in there,
she finds his camera stuff and finds that she doesn't know a certain story of his and, like, an ex he had. And she's acting like she just caught him gangbanging or something. And she's screaming and crying. And he just, like, brought her some food.
Yeah,
and
he walks in with, like, straight up, like, got, like, a bag of burgers and, like, looks like 2 pop.
And he's smiling and he's like, hey, how was your day? And she's like, how could you do this to me? And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like, especially, we talked about that personally.
He twisted all my hands.
It's like, I'm almost 30 and you're in your early 30s. And you had relationships before our relationships, and I acknowledge that because you're 30. Like, most people start dating in their teenage years, and the fact that a lot of women act hysterical for no reason in films drive me nuts. Like, husband's a cop. He came home late because he's a cop. And you're like, you're never home anymore. Get out. It's like, well, he just got home, and you complained about not seeing him. So to punish him for not seeing him, you're gonna kick him out. Mm-hmm. I don't get that.
Just all around, I guess you're trying to say is you like the writing.
I gotta like my characters. Like,
yeah,
the Julie Harris character in The Haunting. I related to a certain extent because I was very kind of isolated as a kid. I couldn't watch a lot of horror movies. Like, I only watched Candyman, I think, the past year, and it's been out for a long time. I'm kind of exploring. Like, I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter because it had witchcraft in it.
And wizardry. Yeah,
witchcraft and wizardry. So I'm only just now exploring that, and that character this is the first adventure she's ever had. So she was scared, but she's like, something is happening to me. I'm not just like cleaning the house, going to sleep, taking care of my mom, and that's it. Like, this is the first time something's ever happened, so I guess I related to her. Which, I don't want to go too much into it, but the Netflix series...
Oh, God, yeah.
It's supposed to be from that same story.
It's inspired by that story, is how they put it
They took characters' names, and then they totally made it different, which I don't get, because it's like, if you're going to have an inspiration or something, being inspired about, like, taking the characters' names and then putting certain lines in there is just stealing. Yeah. It's not a homage. And everyone's like, have you seen the Netflix series? It's like, well, I tried and I couldn't because I've watched a movie from the 60s so many times. I read the book, and that's not what that is.
Yeah.
And I can't, because
now you know how most of the first wave of comic book movies that came out. You know how all them fanboys felt when everything came out. It was like, it wasn't like that in the comic. I'm just freaking out, and then the internet came around, and then, there's that.
Yeah.
And the world's never been the same ever since.
The other two movies I had on here to briefly touch on is Devil and the Babadook.
Devil?
Devil was the elevator one.
M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah, and everyone,
Sorry, M. Night Shyamalan.
I can't say his name properly.
I'm not trying to be racially insensitive. I just say it like that because of Robot Chicken.
Shyamalama Ding Dong is what my mom calls him.
I say it like that because of Robot Chicken.
My mom calls him Shyamalama Ding Dong.
Oh, Lord.
Which I don't know what that is.
Devil. I was upset the first time I watched it because I was expecting, I don't know, when they said, it's the devil's in an elevator. I'm like, what? I didn't get it at first, and I was like, this sounds stupid. And then I watched it, and I was like, this is really good.
Picture we were just talking about
I saw no trailer.
The thing with the unicorn. Shimmer's a unicorn.
Oh, Legend?
Legend, yeah. Were you thinking of the Legend Devil being in the elevator?
I wasn't not
Which would have been rad.
I wasn't not thinking of that Devil. I love that version of Darkness. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It was the only thing I really liked about the Legend movie.
I wish you would have seen the other version and not the one that we watched.
Because with the Babadook, that kid was so freaking annoying that I had zero sympathy. I'm like, she can kill her kid and I'd be totally fine with that. It's like, this kid is wrecking her life. She's so upset. She can't sleep. I don't need the masturbation scene. I was watching that movie with my dad.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay. Well, how was your day, I guess?
This is a perfect time for me to get up and go get myself something to drink. And
I think
you look on your phone.
Yeah. Like a woman pretending to have a baby on screen and anybody masturbating on screen needs to never happen ever, because if you want to...
We're looking at you, Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Spoiler again.
Jesus.
Spoiler again.
I tried to delete that movie from my head, and now it's burning Willem Dafoe naked bodies in my retina.
Oh, yeah. William Dafoe, naked bodies of Robert Pattinson with him on a leash. That whole thing was kind of a little weird for me. Because I knew going into that movie it was going to be an art piece. I knew it was going to be an art piece.
Yeah.
I can tell it's, for hell, it was shot in black and white grayscale, and it was all it got all weird. It did a huge turn on its head and started using like art and just kind of, I don't know. It tried to make itself look too artsy at the end there, and it just was way
Should that be considered a horror movie trope then? Too, was like movies that start okay, and then in the middle of the act they just kind of go, I took all the drugs. Like that scene that I showed you. What was the movie called? Shadow House or something.
Something like that.
I wrote it down. House of Shadows, and then at the end, in the end credits, it was a different title. So I was like, cool. So they did the thing where they changed the title so people will be tricked into watching it because it didn't do well wherever. Like, oh, cool. Because they have this trippy, like, music video sequence where this chick is, like, fighting a demon with a bag on its head.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a demon. It looks like a dude with a paper sack on his head. And they sword fight in weird periscope motion. And it goes on for quite some time.
It goes on for way too long.
And it's just like, well, I was enjoying the beginning of it. The premise wasn't so bad. And, like, the dialogue between the couple seemed pretty realistic. And, like, they were eating noodles and one fell off her plate, like, out of her mouth, like sometimes they do in real life.
Right.
It's like, oops,
Some people
I
don't
slipped on my nose. And then she starts giggling really hard, and then he makes fun of her. And it's like that really got me. And I was not prepared for maybe 20 minutes later that scene to happen.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe a trope could be like, the train goes a certain way, and then they forget what they're doing. The director stepped out or something, and his, like, preschool son took over, and the ending just, like, burst into flames. The end credits. End credits trope of, the scary monster.
Oh, the very last jump scare to...
How many years did we have to endure that?
I think we still do, even now. Like, everything that you see, there's always that jump at the screen, like, I gotcha. Like,
it's you never got me. I'm waiting for it.
It's obviously coming. Yeah, we see that happening.
Never once have I been gotten.
I think the only one that made me jump back was... No, can't think of any of them that made me jump back. Mm-hmm. They were all like, yep, there's going to be something that's going to jump out of the screen at the end. Mm. You were talking about Devil for a second, though. When we got into the huge rant about when we started going off on the Babadook and the other movies from there.
Yeah.
But the Devil movie, I did like how they probably, I don't know, I'm looking at the budget they had for it. It was $18 million
what?
USD. 18 million USD.
Where'd that go? It was like a bottle episode.
Yeah, it felt that's what I was gonna say. It felt like I was watching an episode of like the old Twilight Zone or something.
Which is weird because I hate the Twilight Zone.
I love Twilight Zone.
You can't read anymore, Rob.
I can't read now.
He has all the time in the world and he can't read.
If my sister was here, she would tell you that right now. He can't read right now. No, I liked that though. That was a good movie, but yeah, I guess it probably went into probably renting the building, shutting off areas, like because like some of that stuff that's shot outside. Like there's a part there where they're like out in the city and whatnot. So I imagine they probably used some of that for there.
It wasn't the CG budget, that's for sure.
There was a lot of there was a bit of CG in there.
Stop clicking.
It's my thumb drive.
What doing? The mic's gonna pick that up.
I know. Sorry. I fidget my hands.
Nonsense. I fidget my hands.
I did like that though. I don't know where that budget went. I did enjoy the whole twist there towards the end. Like I said, there's spoilers ahead. I did enjoy the actors too. They were all really good. Which is funny because the guy in the suit, he was the salesman in the gray suit. he was in Super Troopers, which is a movie I don't think you've watched with me yet. Have you? I don't think you've watched Super Troopers.
I don't think
me.
so. I think of the Bug movie.
Yeah, his name's Jeffrey Arnond?
Jeff.
Jeff.
Oh.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like a Flight of the Conchords guy.
A little bit. He was a salesman guy, but he was the I'm freaking out, man. He like ate all the mushrooms and the weed, and he's like the cops are there like interrogating them through the window, and they're being all weird.
That would be the worst thing to happen if you were on those substances and be like, okay, I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions. Be like, I don't know. But main point from my perspective is there's a difference between those psychological thrillers and what mainstream thinks is horror. The Last House on the Left and like anything that they cover in Dead Meat. Some of those movies I wouldn't even consider watching, but because James A. Janice is a freaking treasure to behold, I watch his little reviews that he works very hard on. He has a crew, blah, blah, blah. I love Dead Meat. It's good. And like, I saw a poster for Sinister when I was looking up stuff. And how much that movie made me want to puke. Like, the whole time. It's a bunch of kids killing their families. And it's just like, what's-his-face is just kind of watching these movies. And is sometimes with the door open. And he's got 2 kids.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, father. There's no father I know that would watch anything like with the freaking door open.
Mr. Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently the second one was even worse. Like, they were just kind of reshooting the same kind of thing. It's like, cool, more snuff films. I think the one I hated the most was the kid ran over his family with a lawnmower.
Yeah.
And it just, like, waiting for, like, spookums to happen. And, like, I'm not spooked. He needs to take these to the cops. Be like, yo, what is this? I found this. What is this?
Could he really do that? Like, walk in there, fucking Ethan Hawke, yo. Yo,
I found a bunch of child murderers.
Yeah, it's weird. Like that. What was weird? What was more strange? Like the fact that like his kids are getting possessed, or the fact that this guy sat there like drinking like a glass of like scotch and watching these kids like.
Because he's supposed to be the whole trope is the writer doing research.
Right.
Because whoever's writing it is a writer doing research. Like
right.
Stephen King is very much guilty of that. But his stuff is also critically acclaimed, so.
Right.
It seemed he found the formula that works for him. And I'd rather watch The Shining again than some of these mediocre.
It's
like, I like movies that are made with love, and they're very rare. It's like, you're going to filmmaking, why aren't you having a good time?
There's some that you can tell where like there's like love put into it, and there's some that isn't. And there's some that come out with a really good
like I think
idea.
that my favorite movie, The Haunting, had it, and Haunting in Connecticut just had so many all-stars running it that it seemed to come out like that.
Took it seriously, yeah.
Like, I don't remember dialogue being weird in that movie. Which that when I can, like, if I'm watching something and I can basically see the writers in the writing room going, and then she says, how could you do this to me? And it's like, that's not how people talk. I read a whole book, Writing for Dummies. And one of the things is, like, don't worry about grammar, because people don't talk in perfect grammar, just write.
Right.
And I think some of these people would do to read that book. It's like when I can just like when people in movies refer to themselves their parent as like their father or their mother, like no one does that.
Nobody says that. Yeah, like oh my father died, my mother's died, like my mother's gone, like I'd be like mom's gone, mom, dad, like nobody refers to their. I mean, if you do, then you do, but it's really uncommon.
Pop.
my father, my mother.
Pop Pop. I don't know anyone that calls their grandpa Pop Pop.
Pop Pop.
M. Night Shyamalan, you should be ashamed of that dialogue. You have children, you know how they talk.
The Visit was an awful movie. I did not enjoy The Visit.
The one thing I like from The Visit is they're playing hide and seek, and then Grandma's like crawling around.
Oh,
and she runs at them, and they're like, ah!
Like the all fours, like like sprint at them. Yeah.
That was good, but like the kids and anyone doing like a freestyle rapping makes me want to stab myself.
Especially when it's a little tiny little
squirt.
Yeah.
Sport? What do they say in Scrubs? He calls women honey and guys sport, so he doesn't have to remember anyone's names.
Since we're hopping around and touching on a bunch of different horror movie genres and such, and I know you've watched it with me a few times. I know you might have seen the first one before, but the Alien movies.
I think that's his own podcast.
Yeah, but that's just one that needs at least a little bit of nodding to right now is the Alien movies. Because that is just that's all everything you can scratch the box off for all of them. That's people that love what they're doing. They're having a good time doing it. They put their heart into those movies.
The actors are phenomenal. The sets are phenomenal.
Say what you will about any of the movies. Any fan can criticize any of them. They're all good. I'm talking about all of them. Here. Yeah. Not even just the first one. I'm saying all of them. They were all great movies. I enjoyed all of them. And people give Part 3 a big pile of shit all the time. They're always like, oh, like it was fun. It was still a good movie.
It's still 10 times better than I've watched quite a few space thrillers trying to get that feel, and odds are they don't.
I think it was because that was the only one that didn't take place on a ship. But that's good. It was a palate cleanser for the other movies.
It's the same reason people didn't like the one Star Wars movies, because they don't blow up a Death Star.
Yeah.
It's like you can't have your movie.
They do blow up a big ship, though.
You can't have them blow up a Death Star every time.
Yeah.
You know how much the money that Death Star probably cost?
Back to the Alien thing, though, I do love the first one, though. The first one is still it is a genuine good horror movie.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby. Yes.
The old chest buster.
Little top hat.
Oh, that's great. I love that he did that for Spaceballs.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So yeah, for me, I guess if there's gore, it's got to be a little bit of comedy or like Alien Space Goo, because I remember not wanting to watch Alien for a while because it looked goopy. Her mouth is very goopy and it's gross, but she's not supposed to be pretty. She's a monster.
She is pretty.
No.
I think she's beautiful.
Also, can I...
I think those xenomorphs are beautiful creatures. They used to be scary, but the more I see them, the more I'm like, wow, those are like, they're intricate like animals. I think they're beautiful. Like, yeah, they look like cool lizard, like...
I'm not dressing up as an alien and having sex with you. I'm sorry.
I would never, madam.
But now you're thinking about it.
A Yautja, maybe. Have you put on a Predator helmet and come at me?
Oh my god.
You gotta learn how to make the little clicky click.
I can't do that.
Sorry, my people. Sorry.
I'm not sorry. It's your fault for creating play. What about the cat? Like the go back. Oh, Jonesy, I think.
Yeah, Jonesy.
Like Jonesy totally killed that sweet girl in the first one. She's like Jonesy, and then they like imply that the alien like rapes her. In the first one, and then and then they show the cat, and he's doing the slow blink, like yes.
I think that was how he killed the guy. He didn't kill the girl that way.
But I remember a certain shot where the light is on the cat's eyes, and he's doing the slow blink, and he's like,
I think
devour the humans.
I think you might have gotten that part different. That's how he killed Brett. He killed Brett that way. He didn't kill her the other way, and that was Lambert. She gets killed in the ship.
I'll be completely honest. I don't know what their names are.
Oh.
I'm a horrible person. I am very visual.
I've watched them all.
Ripley, because they go Ripley. Oh, yeah. So you kind of can't not know her name.
She's Sigourney's Weaver. Remember?
Yeah. Which makes it even better watching Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
She's like, cool, I'm like sexy in this movie. This is great. I'm not like a tomboy and alien. She's supposed to be a tomboy with her little underoos.
Another one to talk about really quick here, now that we're gonna getting close to the end of their little session here, is the one, my favorite space thriller movie, horror movie, Event Horizon.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll say it. I like Event Horizon more than I like the alien movies in the space horror movie genre.
Event Horizon is nuts.
Event Horizon is the best one.
Lawrence Fishburne
was awesome.
So he got a little baby face. He's so young.
He was great in that movie. That just
and
everything about
Sam
that
Neill
movie.
is beautiful.
Well, he's amazing in that movie.
He's got beautiful eyes.
That
Okay,
was the first time I ever seen him as a bad guy. Was in that movie.
Yeah.
Because he was always the Jurassic Park guy to me.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
And
He's supposed to have on the hat. He's supposed to be smiling, and he's supposed to have the bandana around his neck. And,
like hissing, basically, when anyone tries to touch him.
Yeah.
Don't. Your seatbelt's messed up. Let me help you. Don't touch me. I'll just tie you in a knot.
I did love that movie very much. I remember seeing commercials for it when I was a kid and just never watching it, and then seeing it for the first time with my brother in a while, and we both were just like, this is we freaked out. I remember we both were like genuinely frightened when they're trying to re-scramble the video or whatever, and they finally get it done, and then you hear the guy's voice, and he's like, save us from hell, and he's like, and he's got like his hands in his eyes and shit. It was like, that was an insane movie.
It's very messed up. The squeamish people probably should watch it with a friend.
Right.
But it like deals on multiple dimensions. They imply it's hell, I think, but it could be just like, because the planet Darkseid's on looks like hell, but it's not.
Essentially, it kind of is.
Yeah, so it's something like that. And when you look into another dimension like that, can you come out sane or not? And Sam Neill, I don't know if he did a good job coming out not insane.
He came out all messed up. He looked like he pays a visit to Pinhead, and he gets all scratched up. And
yeah, it's like he hung out with Pinhead for too long. And
yeah.
Which I did only recently watch the Hellraiser films.
Because of me.
A few months ago.
Because of me.
And I felt kind of gross watching it. It was like,
but I had such sights to show you, and I wanted you to see them.
Yeah, he was neat. It was torture porn though, for sure.
A little bit, but that's
it made me want to watch a Disney movie after.
That's also like one of those movies where it's like you can tell they liked what they were doing.
They had fun. The puzzle box is cool.
The puzzle box is great. The props were great. The acting was great. I love those were like movie monsters, but those guys go up there to me with like Predator, and like you know Michael Myers and Jason. Like they're not scary. It's their movie. You want to see them do stuff. Like I think that's why I like those, is because the bad guys win in those movies most of the time. Well, not in the Predator movies, but all the other ones, the bad guys usually win. You know,
like in real life.
Just like in real life.
Mm.
Well, we're getting to the end here. We're gonna fix up something here and get ourselves ready for our day, because we always start off our Sundays with a podcast so that you lovely people can enjoy it afterwards to start your week or whenever you want. But feel free to share this, comment, subscribe.
What's your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie in general? Comment down below. Let us know. We'll watch it and check it out and get back to you and see what we think about it.
Did I bash your favorite films on accident?
Let us know. Hate us. Tell us all the horrible things in the comment below.
Yeah, and I'll promptly not read it.
I'll read it and hate myself after.
Oh.
Thank you again.
Bye.
You guys have a good one. See you soon.